There's something uniquely satisfying about Assassin's Creed games. We've all wondered about who our ancestors really were, or what their lives were like, and how exactly we came to be. But the honest truth is that it's extremely unlikely that they were like badass hidden blade ninja white-robed hitmen who just murdered people in the name of their sacred cause. But come on, that would be really cool. The Assassin's Creed series of games gives us an outlet for the theories about our past and its more than decade-long history. Since the release of the first Assassin's Creed game in 2007 by Ubisoft, the franchise has consistently given us games with great stealth elements, fluid combat systems, rich storylines, and just really good visuals that just seemingly get better with time. The deep dive into the struggle between the idea of peace through freedom and the Brotherhood of the Assassins and peace through control in the Templar Order is enough to get everyone kind of interested. Also, the franchise is one of the highest selling video game franchises of all time. It's up there on that list. So today we're going to break down the evolution of the Assassin's Creed franchise. After completing work on the awesome Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, Ubisoft game designer Patrice Desilets and producer Jade Raymond began to work on a new IP focused around medieval hitmen. There had been talks of it being a Prince of Persia spin-off, but eventually they decided to go their own way with it. And as you probably know, the origins of the struggle between the Assassins and the Templars in the original Assassin's Creed game is actually influenced by history. On one novel in particular, 1938's Alamut by Vladimir Bartol. And look, I'm not gonna get too much into this because this is a video game channel, not a book club. But it influenced the plot of the game a lot since it focused around the Nizari Ismaili, an Islamic sect of assassins in medieval Iran. So you might be asking, hey Jake, why are you trying to give me this boring history lesson? I just want to learn about jumping in hay bales. But the fact that the plot of this game wasn't entirely made up, that it could, suspend a player's sense of disbelief, is what really made the franchise so damn popular and definitely intriguing at first when it released. When it did drop in 2007, in retrospect, it's no surprise that it was a pretty big success through pretty clever storytelling. The game managed to weave a pretty intricate plot through genetic memory and ancestry, connecting the characters of 2012 bartender Desmond Miles to his 1191 AD assassin ancestor Altair. Originally released for the 360 and PS3, Assassin's Creed, somewhat masterfully to some, intertwines the action-adventure genre with some stealth elements, putting a real emphasis on third-person combat and movement in this open-world environment. The original Assassin's Creed game features solid parkour mechanics and an objective structure that allows for a decent amount of free roam elements and smaller goals, and the art direction was really something else. New consoles presented developers with the greater ability to process more data and render more polygons, and this upgrade in graphical potential really gave Ubisoft the opportunity to create beautiful landscapes and realistic looking characters. I remember the first time I saw the official gameplay reveal, I was blown away and I watched it over and over again because Altair, the way he moved, just looked so real. The first Assassin's Creed game featured the inaugural use of Ubisoft's Scimitar game engine. This is an adaptable engine that put an emphasis on recreating human-like body movements in animation. It was built entirely from scratch for the game, and the engine also ran some pretty solid lifelike physics. Running around, jumping, climbing walls, and throwing people into merchant stalls all felt really real, and it had some weight to it. Overall, there was a lot of repetition and some boring tailing missions, but the potential for more was there, and people were still hooked. Assassin's Creed sold a lot of copies after its release and won a lot of different awards from publications like IGN and at conferences like E3 and stuff. Ubisoft was surprised at the outpour of success and positive criticism from the game that they saw it as an opportunity for a larger franchise. So in 2009, after much anticipation, Assassin's Creed 2 was released for 360 and PS3. This continued the story of Desmond Miles' heritage and his connection to this ancient sect of assassins. And this time, the players took on the mantle of Ezio Auditore da Firenze, an assassin in Italy during the Renaissance period. And this game was amazing. It's probably personally my favorite Assassin's Creed game. Next to Black Flag, this game utilized a slightly improved game engine built from Scimitar called Anvil. Through their own proprietary engine, Ubisoft was able to improve physics by adding dynamic movement to the cloth, like, Ezio's robes, and adding a day and night cycle. The game added some gameplay elements as well. Health systems became more grounded, like players actually had to go to a doctor to buy medicine and heal. AI and non-playable characters were improved. They were more distractible and kind of improved stealth elements of the game. And the combat system became a bit more layered and thankfully a bit more challenging too. something the first game was sorely missing. The game world itself also was absolutely massive. Players could roam around Renaissance-era Italy, where you could visit cities like Venice, Florence, and Rome, and little areas in between, and they all had a unique and distinct feel to them. The game was just so much fun, and the story was pretty captivating. It had a really nice hero's journey, and Ezio's arc was really interesting. Ubisoft, by this point, sorta had a flow going on with their newly created franchise. They really took a decent, interesting, but gorgeous game of Assassin's Creed and really made it more fun and groundbreaking with Assassin's Creed 2. The series was the gift that kept on giving too. Ubisoft would put out an Assassin's Creed game and consumers would just keep on buying them, with games following up Ezio's story with Brotherhood and Revelations. And which, no surprise, those games were, more often than not, pretty awesome. Assassin's Creed 3 from 2012 was the next installment in the franchise that saw an intense change in not only gameplay elements, but some graphical stuff as well. Continuing the story of Desmond through his new ancestor of a Native American heritage named Connor, the American Revolutionary War era setting in a game gave Ubisoft the ability to really upgrade the notion of open world and how the character moves within it. Featuring some of the biggest improvements to the Anvil engine since the original game, 3 kind of made leaps and bounds not only in new lighting techniques and more versatile camera modes, but really in the field of animation. And new engine tools gave developers the opportunity to completely redo all the animations from scratch. The game's creative director Alex Hutchinson said at the time, "Our goal with the new game is to have no animations from previous Assassin's Creed games. We don't want you to see anything from previous Assassin's Creed games in this game unless we deliberately put them there." And it made a difference, especially with how Connor could move throughout the world and assassinate someone and keep continuously moving, not to mention climbing trees and everything in between. And jumping to a more modern setting of the 1700s, the prospects were exciting, but opinions on the game were kind of mixed. Regardless though, it expanded on the lore in a lot of awesome ways, while also giving a conclusion to the story of Desmond Miles in 2012. From here, it was unknown how Ubisoft would take the series, since their main vehicle for transporting into the past was no longer a part of the story. Ubisoft looked for a different way forward, and they did, transporting players onto the open seas as a pirate and eventual assassin in 2013's Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Using Assassin's Creed 3's Anvil Next engine, this installment was, in most regards, an expansion and a really large improvement on gameplay mechanics touched upon in AC3. Captaining the Jackdaw was reminiscent of Connor's ship from the third game, the Aquila, although the mechanic was tweaked to add the possibility for the player to upgrade their ship for battles on the high seas, and exploring the open ocean was really awesome, and for me personally, still a huge highlight of the whole series. After Black Flag, an almost oversaturation of the market for these types of games was kind of hard to miss. Along with the addition of the Chronicles series to the franchise beginning in 2015 by Climax Studios, the next 3 years after Assassin's Creed 4 saw 9 new titles in 3 years. Yeah, you gotta give it to Ubisoft for seeing an opportunity to make money, I guess. By 2017, a lot of people were feeling drained from the sheer numbers that Ubisoft was pushing out when it came to Assassin's Creed games. Not only that, but those 3 years after Black Flag even saw a goddamn movie starring Michael Fassbender that didn't fare so well as far as critics were concerned. I thought it was okay. It could have been worse, but I guess it wasn't the huge success they were hoping for. Thankfully, taking a year off the annual release cycle the games had had for some time seems to have really helped. 2017's Assassin's Creed Origins was the latest release in the franchise, and this game was met with some serious praise from critics and fans alike. This one set in ancient Egypt, the story does not stray from every previous Assassin's Creed game, as the player assumes the role of an assassin who fights an ancient sect of the Templar Order before they were actually a thing. The game's open world was really breathtaking and immense, just the scope, and the game's story, acting, and tweaked combat systems separated the game from the same old of the franchise's past. The game moved the combat to a more hitbox-based system, meaning that whenever the player wields a weapon, they can strike an enemy AI only when it's actually in range and do damage to certain limbs or areas. It wasn't just a canned animation when you press the kill button. And while combat does feel floaty, it did add an immense amount of challenge to the game and really helped hone in on the RPG elements that Ubisoft tried to build up. Now you were exploring a world, discovering more loot, and upgrading your character to go to more challenging places. The game also took some inspiration from the structure and questing design from The Witcher 3, and that gave each diversion a bit more of a distinct feel that really helped it feel fresh from Unity and Syndicate, which kind of featured massive maps filled to the brim with just one of a few repetitive tasks. Here, every side quest and every area seemed to have had a real individual focus and care, and it made the game more interesting to not only explore, but just play. Overall, the Assassin's Creed franchise has been pretty damn successful on the 20 individual games released since 2017. Ubisoft seems to have no sign of slowing down either. Later in 2018, the new installment Assassin's Creed Odyssey is slated to be released, and this has the potential to be the biggest change to the series yet. Putting more emphasis on RPG aspects and the journey of a hero might be exactly what it needs to kind of drum up more excitement once again. But for AC Odyssey, we're just gonna have to really wait and see. I don't know. For now though, there's no doubt that the Assassin's Creed franchise has seen a lot of change in gameplay elements and visuals, while also trying to stick true to the formula that made the game so damn successful in the first place. I think truly though, whether you're burnt down on the games or not, this franchise has landed itself into the history books forever. But with these evolution videos, we like to highlight the big changes or breakthroughs in gameplay design as the games progress. So we want to hear from you guys down in the comments any changes or little tweaks to the Assassin's Creed formula that you really appreciated or disliked. Let's talk about it. Also, of course, what was your favorite Assassin's Creed game? If you could give us your top 3 favorites, we would really love to hear from you, especially for making videos in the future. But if you did enjoy this video, clicking the like button does help us out. We really appreciate it. And if you're new, you should consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.